Hi everybody and welcome back to Jaffa Cooks, and today I'll show you how to make samosa sheets for all your different types of samosas. Okay, so before we start, I'll go through the normal stuff, which is, if you haven't already subscribed, do so. Love to hear from you. Click on the bell icon, get the latest updates, and there's a lot going on in my kitchen. So if you want to hear and want to find out what's going on, the latest tips and tricks, get subscribed. Okay, so before we start, this recipe is for a large batch. So I'm going to freeze my samosas because of some parties and events happening in the coming couple of weeks. But I'll give you a shorter recipe for about 12, 14 samosas. So bear with me. It's a large batch, but the principle's the same. Okay, very simple. I've got some plain flour. I've got some salt. I've got some ghee. And I've got some ajwain. Now, if you haven't got ajwain, you can use zero seeds or cumin seeds. But if you're going to use cumin seeds, you're going to have to crush them. Okay? Don't put them in whole because they'll split the samosa pastry. So very simple. I'm going to add in the 3 ingredients first, which is the ajwain and the salt and the ghee. Now you could use butter ghee or you could use vegetarian ghee. It's entirely up to you. I'm using vegetarian ghee, and the reason is because dietary requirements. Now, if you've ever made pastry before, this is pretty much the same principle. All we want to do is just rub it in. That's it. And we want to break it down and mix the ghee in as well. Okay, welcome back everybody. So I've rubbed in the ghee into the flour, and I've got some lukewarm water. Now, I try and stick with one brand of flour, then I know how much consistency of water I need to use. What I've seen over the years is sometimes different types of flour react differently to the water content. So today, unfortunately, my flour is slightly different. So I'm not going to wing it, but I've done some extra warm water just to make sure I don't run out. So I've got some lukewarm water here, and I'll put in the weights and measures in the description below. And what we want to do is introduce it, and it's just lukewarm. We want to introduce it in batches, so I'm just going to introduce it in 3 different batches. I try never to put the complete measurement of water in one go, because I don't know what the outcome will be with the flour, and that's what I've seen over the years myself. You may have experienced it. So I'm just going to put in the second. Actually, I'm just going to mix that in thoroughly. And what I want to do is make a dough now, and that dough will allow me to make pastry sheets. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes whilst I'm mixing this, and keep watching, and I'll show you what the end consistency of the dough should look like. Okay? Welcome back everybody. And I've kneaded my dough, and I've let it rest for 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do now, I've had it covered with a wet cloth, and I'm just going to knead it for another 5-6 minutes, and then I'm going to put it to rest for about half an hour with a damp cloth on top. And once I'm ready, then I'll resume back and I'll show you how to prepare the sheets and what the mystery is around getting a right samosa created and fried so it's nice and crispy. Okay, so I'll see you back shortly after half an hour. Just before I go, just wanted to show you the dough. Now, press your finger down into the dough and it should spring back. Now, if it doesn't spring back, that means you've used too much water. So what you could do is just try and add a bit more flour. But if you followed the recipe correctly, that's what should happen. It should spring back. Okay, so I'm going to let it rest for about half an hour, and I'll see you back shortly. Bye. Welcome back, everybody. So it's been half an hour, and my dough has been under a damp cloth, and it's looking good. So I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute, and I'm just going to knead it a bit more. Oh, wow. Yes, definitely. You can tell the difference by just touching it. That letting it rest gives it that extra flexibility. So I'm just going to knead it a couple of more minutes. Do follow the recipe to the letter. And you can actually see that the outside of the dough has now become a really nice shiny piece of dough. All right, so a couple of more minutes and then I'll show you how to now roll it out and make into pastry sheets. Welcome back everyone, and I've taken my dough and I've just rolled it into a log just to show you how to proceed from here. But just before we go ahead and start making the sheets, I just wanted to point out that my recipe is for 3 times the amount because I'm making a large batch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this into like 3 bits, and we'll take one piece and work on it, and that should be the original amount of dough that you'll need. So I'm just going to take my other 2 pieces, pop them in the bowl and just cover them with a damp cloth, and I'll get to work on those later on. But just to show you what to do, I'm going to then take this as your base dough, and then we'll make sheets out of this. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to now, one of the simple ways to basically divide some dough, for me, I find it easiest just to half it first, and then look at the dough and then say, okay, how many portions do I want it to make out of here? So I would say probably about 4 in each, so total of 8. I'm going to make dough balls out of these, and then I'll show you how to roll them out and get them ready to basically make sheets out of them for samosa pastry. Right, okay. All right, welcome back everybody. So I've made my dough balls. I've got nice round, 8 round dough balls. The next part of the process is basically we take each dough ball and just keeping your thumb and finger to the middle, we're just going to now just push it out as far as it can go out without splitting the dough, the ball itself. So something like that. That's it. And you know, you can go out as far as you can. Next stage is to basically roll it out. So this is just the start of rolling out. So there's one. I'm just going to do the rest as well. So very simple. They should look like something like mini pancakes. And I'm just going to put these to one side. So what we need to do next is basically start rolling these into sheets. So I'm just going to take a little bit of flour, press it down a little bit, and very quickly, just with one wave, just roll it out, and then turn it over, roll it out, roll it out, and again, a couple of more times. And we don't want to make a shape, we just want to spread it out as far as we can. Okay, so this now looks roundabout. I've got a measuring marker on my rolling sheet. So this looks around about 7 inches. And at this stage, what we want to do is make it into an oval shape. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to press, as I get towards the edges, I'm just going to press and push it out a bit. I'm going to turn it over one more time. There we go. And that's my first sheet. Now I'm going to do the same with the rest of the 7, and I'll see you back shortly once I've finished them off. All right, so welcome back. I've done my daily workout. Good, it was a daily workout. Right, so I've rolled out my samosa sheets, and they look pretty much good to basically be prepared for filling. One of the things that you could do is you can individually probably cut them up, but because I've done a heap of them, and I want to get them into something which is going to keep them slightly airtight, so which stops them from drying, is I'll just take the top sheet and just basically half it, mark it, and then just cut down the top. Now, before you cut down the top, don't press down because you may end up sealing the bottom and the top. Do cut it, and that will basically stop the bottom and the top sheets from sealing together. Now, each one of these sheets can be used to make samosa. Now, before we go ahead, I'm going to take some and I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag. I'm going to put them in the fridge. They'll last for about 3-4 days. And then, or you could just freeze some. But I would recommend, if you're going to freeze, do keep either flour in between or a parchment paper between the layers. Welcome back. So I've cleaned up, the flour's put away. So finally, my samosa sheets look something like that. So for the fillings, you don't have to stick to the traditional method of just using potatoes, mince, and chicken. You could use spinach and ricotta. You could use a blend of mozzarella and cheddar mix. Maybe even experiment by putting some cheese and pizza sauce together and then basically frying it off. I mean, that might be a good idea. I might try that one out. But do experiment. But this is the base. If you get your pastry right, everything else goes pretty simple. Enjoy, and I'll see you back again. Bye for now.